Yep.
I think I got this. Kinda got this.
Do you have any questions from what we've done so far? How are you getting along
Okay, we're good.
with the module, with the coursework and the research and the reading? I suspect there will be more than enough books and articles and journals that you can read around. And I do know that we have huge amount of electronic books as well, which we pay lots of money to have membership to those journals and articles. So we should be okay, right? All we have to do is just sit down and read and take notes and just do it. Yeah. Okay, so what we'll talk about today is to look into more opportunities, but also challenges that comes with e-commerce on retailing and services. And there are really three things that we want to cover. I mean, there's quite a bit of slides in there, but there are three things that overall I'd like to talk about today. First one is in relation to retail trends and what's happening and where we're going with e-commerce, and did really e-commerce revolutionize everything or not? So we'll have a bit of sort of overview of what we've seen so far. Looking at business models, so we will look at several business models, but mainly focus on one, which is Amazon. And there's no pretty much better choice to examine e-commerce than looking and analyzing Amazon.com. And then sharing economy, which is of course having a huge impact on the way how we run today's business. So it's having an impact on different business models, but also in overall industry as well. So, what's new in online retail? Well, clearly some of these things are part of the overall trend when it comes to digital business. Mobile is definitely having a huge impact on e-commerce. In fact, it's driving lots of it as well. Not just e-commerce, is driving advertising as well, and I'm sure sites like Facebook and LinkedIn and others, but in particular Facebook, are super happy that they've got a fantastic sort of following into mobile app of theirs, because that is driving third of their overall profits and advertising, and that just shows you where we are. Now, of course, social networks are also playing a huge role in terms of how we shop online nowadays. Now, we talked about this in our customer journey session, but we said that actually shopping nowadays is harder than, or more complicated than we normally thought it was going to be, right? And the reason for that is because there is more information than ever before, and that sometimes makes it harder and longer for us to get to the point of completing a purchase. And you can look at this from your own examples. Unless you are a very quick buyer, nowadays buying online, it's not as quick as we would like, unless we really know what we purchased in the past. We know the place, we know that that's website is going to give us the best prices possible, then we're going to go ahead and buy. But in general, buying nowadays can take a lot more time than it used to take in the past. And that's what some research is telling us as well. Now again, as I said to you earlier, you can look at your own shopping behavior and see whether you can buy things very quickly, or whether it takes you a lot more time to decide what you're going to buy and where. Nowadays, that is because of the amount, as I said, the amount of information that are being provided by social networks. In addition to that, now there are lots of experiments going on with the idea of introducing e-commerce into social networks. Now, Facebook has been trying with it several times and is back on it again, where nowadays you can actually set something up to sell on your Facebook page very easily. In fact, all you have to do is just make sure you put the price, you put the details, and Facebook will allow you to accept payments as well. Now, there are several brands trying to do that, but again, it's still the beginning, and we'll see how that goes. On the other hand, what other brands are trying to do that have got online stores is actually to introduce social networks plugins within their stores, which means that as soon as someone has purchased something or liked that specific page in their website, a specific product, every other friend in their network will know about it, right? And so again, as much as introducing e-commerce into social networks, now social networks is being embedded into every single product description in e-commerce sites. And nowadays you start to see that when you go to specific sites online, you can start to see who are your friends that actually purchased that specific product or maybe like that similar product. So again, we started to see a bit more sort of like social buying behavior, whereby we don't just buy things because we need them, we buy them because we start to see that there is a trend growing up, or there's friends who are recommending these things, and some of those are happening across social media. Online retail is still the fastest growing retail channel. Again, the growth is fantastic. Buying online, a normal mainstream experience is becoming pretty much a standard. And again, this is what I said a while ago, that I believe that we will buy anything that we can buy using these smartphones and tablets as well, right? And it's just going to be a matter of time before most of the things that we're going to buy are going to be very simple, enabled very quickly by these personal assistants that are actually built into the smartphone, like Siri and Cortana from Microsoft and others as well. Nowadays, those are going to be your personal assistants, right? And in the near future, we won't even need to use the smartphones or tablets to go and search for things and before we buy them. But actually, all we'll say is something like, I don't know, to Siri, can you please purchase a new, I don't know, accessory for my new camera from Amazon.co.uk, and you already have my login details, please go ahead and do that. And the Siri will confirm to you the pricing for that specific thing. I'll tell you when that thing is going to get delivered to you, and that's going to be it. So I think we're going to see that quite soon, because these personal assistants are becoming very intelligent, thanks to artificial intelligence behind the scene, where things are being very optimized throughout all the time. Now, all these personal assistants across different channels are more intelligent, and they are becoming better and better every day. In fact, they improve all the time based on our own behavior. So in other words, more we use these smart devices, they'll get better for us, right? And that's what is driving this whole thing, right? Selection of goods including luxuries as well. This is also having a huge success online, because nowadays we can start to see more reviews, also customer experiences on things that we want to buy online. Special retailers online are also growing rapidly fast. So in other words, it's quite quick to enter into the marketplace. This hasn't actually ever been easy to do that. Big data used to predict marketing is, of course, what's trending now. So the whole idea nowadays is, can we tell what is going to sell in the next week by looking at the data previous week, right? Are we able to look at the customer behavior and things that they have done, and then start to create some sort of ideas of the product that might sell well next week or next month? Can we tell what's going to sell best in this Christmas period by looking at the data of Christmas buying behavior last year? And so many other things. So data are being used continuously to work out what's going to be the most successful approach to take when it comes to online business models. And again, as I said to you last time, if you can't predict anything using the data, right, you can go out in London and make very, very good money. And there are companies who specialize to do just that. E-commerce retail division, again, it reduced the search and transaction costs. So again, it makes it very easy, very convenient for us to buy. Lowered the market entry costs. Again, nowadays you can start selling something within a few hours, as long as you know what you're selling, and as long as you know how much you're selling it for, and also you've got a clear idea as to who's going to buy that product. And you can set that up on Shopify in half an hour. Yeah? But of course, you've got to do a lot more work after that, but it's never been easier. Even if you compare that to opening a traditional business, that's another animal altogether. Because simply opening up a real store, we know how difficult it is, we know how challenging it is, and we know how expensive that thing can be. And that's why online sort of marketplace is always very, very exciting. Traditional physical stores forced out businesses. Sometimes, in addition to everything else that we've seen so far, we start to see that some of those more luxury types of businesses, the more expensive ones in traditional stores, seem to struggle from time to time. Some industries would be very much in the very near future cut, so there'll be intermediate people that are going to be cut, and that's something that is going to be looked after by a technology that is being very much looked into now, and that's called blockchain, right? And it's very interesting to read around it, because the idea is to synchronize databases live across different platforms, different industries, so then you don't have to wait for anything once you made a request for a bank application, bank loan, or anything like that, right? And again, that's what's driving Bitcoin, right? So it's a really fascinating thing what's changing, but the whole idea is to make sure that these sort of industries are disintermediated by different sort of technologies, in other words, to cut the middleman, right? And there will be, this is really going to revolutionize for real how industries are going to work. I know lots of companies, lots of industries are very much scared of Bitcoin, but things are going to change, and there is lots of work going behind the scene. Few of the assumptions were correct. Structure of retail marketplace has not been revolutionized, so we've seen a pretty huge success, but things sort of like the e-commerce hasn't totally revolutionized retail marketplace. Internet has created new venues for omni-channel. So now this is something that has really changed nowadays. You can't think of selling a product just via a website. You need to think and consider social channels and the mobile as well. Because if you leave those two things out, you'll be leaving out the business, right? And you will see that from your own research when you look into companies that some of them do really well selling directly with a website, but as soon as you start doing the research, their existence in social media is not really there, and really their mobile presence doesn't exist either, and that means they're missing out immensely from their work. The online retail sector nowadays keeps growing very, very fast, and of course we start to see that all the time. It's growing faster, according to research, than the offline segments. Revenue have resumed growth. Around 70% of internet users bought online in 2014. Again, this year, according to research, we expect it to have a third of overall sales to happen online in the UK. Right? For the first time, it's something that lots of people never thought it was going to come true in 2016, but it's actually happening. Again, we'll start to see the data at the end of the year, but that's something that could certainly have an impact in the industry as well. Primary beneficiaries, of course, we've got established online retailers that have got offline presence as well. Now, those retailers that have built up a very good presence online, but have got traditional stores as well, have done really well, simply because you can purchase online, collect offline. Click and collect has been a huge success across different industries. But in addition to that, you have engaged with the brand online, but in addition to that, you've had a chance to engage with the brand face-to-face as well. So that's helped the companies build a brand consistency across different channels. Of course, when it comes to total virtual company, Amazon is there. The growth of online retail in the United States, you'll start to see how fast it's grown, and it's very steady, but it's pretty incremental, pretty fantastic growth. And again, we start to see that around Europe as well, and several countries in Europe do exceptionally well, including UK, Sweden, Finland, and some other countries. The online retail sector, of course, it is moving towards an omni-channel integration. And again, that means that apart from just having a virtual store, it's not enough. You've got to have other channels that are embedded into your own business model, because otherwise you'll be missing out on business. And that includes leveraging, if you've got one, the physical store. If you don't have a mobile presence, you've got to go there, you've got to be there. If you don't have a social media presence, you've got to be there, because customers are talking about the brands, the customers are engaging with other communities to talk about the brand, and they're showing interest on products and services on their discussions that they're having. And if you as a brand are not there, you are clearly missing out. And even if that's not having an impact hugely in your sales, it will still give you some insights as to what you need to focus with your business. Social commerce growth, and I explained that to you earlier, really starting to see more and more social networking channels introducing e-commerce into their own platforms, like Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest as well, whereby now, as much as you've been able to buy things online, you'll be able to buy things on your Facebook, and there are lots of people actually ending up buying their own products on Facebook without having to leave the website at all. And companies like ASOS and Topshop and Next, they have built up their own pages on Facebook where they sell their own products. You don't have to leave Facebook to be able to build something. So that social commerce is growing. And the social commerce is, again, introducing the social aspect to the online purchase behavior. Location-based marketing is having a huge impact as well, both in goods and services. Again, because it tailors offers to you based on the physical visits you're paying to the store. Rapidly growing mobile platforms as well. And again, you could argue tablets as ultimate shopping machine. You know, that's a bit of a discussion and debate, because ultimately the devices that are with us most of the times are these smartphones and not tablets, right? But we have them, we keep them quite a lot, but again, the device that sticks with us, and it's never far away that we can't reach it with our hand, right? And everything else, it's in a distance that you might not be able to reach, including your wallet, including your PC, but this thing is always close to you. Now, analyzing the viability of online firms, economic viability, we start to see, of course, online virtual companies do really well, and the reason for that is because of the overall running costs, that's lower than having the physical stores. Two business analysis approaches, strategic analysis focuses on industry and the whole firm itself. Financial analysis, of course, looking at the numbers and how well we're doing with our online sales. When it comes to the online world, the conversion rate has got an impact into that one, because the conversion rate in e-commerce, as we know, is very low, and if we miss that, we can miss the opportunity to perform well online. Key industry factors, barriers to entry, of course, power of suppliers. It's actually quite difficult to identify suppliers that will do a really good job if you start to sell online. Now that could be specifically useful for the companies that are going to do drop shipping business, whereby you don't actually own any products at all, but you rely on suppliers to ship the products for you. It's quite a clever business model, but unless your suppliers are really good with the product management and also with the deliveries and all of that, your business won't work. And again, those are challenges. Power of customers. Nowadays, customers have got a lot more power than you used to have. If they start complaining about your business, and they do for that for too long, there'll be no business. And again, people are going to start to leave out and try your competitor sites. Existence of substitute products. So nowadays, if something you really need, right, can be bought in a much cheaper price from a non-branded company, but has been highly reviewed by your friends, why not? You're going to go ahead and buy it. And again, also the industry value chain, the whole idea is to try and have an industry where the whole value chain system works very well together. Firm-specific factors include core competencies, again, around the idea of having people in place that can actually deliver. Synergies, technology put in place. Now in here you can talk about maybe Shopify and Magento that actually help you make sure that you've got a decent business online. But in addition to that, social and legal challenges are as important as anything else. Other financial factors that have an impact on business, of course, without a doubt, revenues. And again, cost of sales. Now, it'll be easier to succeed online, but that sort of marketing that you're doing doesn't come for free. Even if it's social, that means you've got to spend time, and time equals money. So the cost of sales, even if it's online, can be quite expensive as well. When you start to introduce time that you spend on social media, maybe pay-per-click advertising, affiliate marketing, all sorts of things, you've got to pay to get the customers, and again, that can be quite difficult, quite challenging and quite expensive. Gross margins as well, operating expenses. Now, the good thing about online is that we've got smaller operating costs. However, we still need to make sure that we calculate how much it's going to cost us to deal with shipping, returns, and so on, even if we work with suppliers. And ultimately looking at the net margins and what are the profits for our business. Balance sheets, including assets, current assets, liabilities, and all of that. Long-term debts again, and working capital when it comes to the online business. E-commerce in action. Now, if we look at Amazon, without a doubt, Earth's biggest selection, most customer-centric of any other business you've seen so far. Again, business model is all to do with retail, third-party mentions, NAWCs, Amazon Web Services. And what Amazon has done something quite successfully and very, very clever is that as they were building their e-commerce stores, they had to build up things on the web, right? They had to have the very best servers and systems integrated into their own virtual stores. That to that point they realized, oh, by the way, how about selling some of our space in our servers because we've got so many of them. And then they developed an Amazon Web Servers, which is again one of those most successful sort of online service when it comes to hosting and using their services as well. Again, it's called Amazon Web Services, which in there you can do hosting and all sorts of other things as well. Financial analysis, continuously fantastic growth and profitability overall. Strategic analysis, maximizing sales, trying to integrate as many merchants as possible, and of course offering a lower cost thanks to the prices and acquisition that they've got, but of course enabled by mobile shopping, and again huge amount of merchants that they have got selling in their stores. Again, strategically looking at it, online and offline, general merchandises like web services and so on has worked really well for Amazon. As we know, the largest sophisticated collection of online retailing technology is available. Without a doubt, you can almost find anything out there now, and they're even trying to get into the foods and groceries as well, which is going to be interesting to look into. Future prospects, I'm not going to get into those details, but you can start to feel as to what was the growth of Amazon from 2014 to 2015. And again, we will see probably an immense growth in 2016 as well, because they're investing heavily in the prime users that they've got, which is the biggest money maker in Amazon's business. In addition to that, they are looking to invest so much in making sure that those prime users never leave their services. E-tailing business models, when we look at the Amazon, totally virtual merchant, Amazon, totally online, nothing when it comes to physical stores. Of course, that's something that we need to look into. Maybe they're going to experiment with it as well, because it can work quite well for the company. Omnichannel, there's so many. You've got in the UK, Next, Topshop, Zara, all other brands. In US, Walmart, Macy's, and so on. But of course, there are several other manufacturers that sell directly to you using their website. Companies like Apple, Dell, and so on. When it comes to things in online retailing, of course, we talked about so many of those, but one of the biggest ones is the idea is trying to cut the middleman and have more like a optimized hub for everything when it comes to suppliers and buyers as well. So instead of having to wait for things, the idea is trying to build up a platform whereby everyone can track and see how well you've done, whether it's your business or transactions in the past. And what the Bitcoin does, that lots of people really don't understand, is the idea that you cannot hide your previous history on purchase and transactions that you've done in the past. So the whole idea is to have a system where things are transparent and that you can start to see what has been going on in the past, even though the whole idea is again to cut that middleman and have more like a smooth operations when it comes to the business. Again, as I said to you earlier, extraordinary growth definitely comes and is coming through social media and of course mobile as well. Mobile driving both social and e-commerce. And again, this drives huge amount of data, and that data can help us to get a better understanding as to who we're trying to work with, but in addition to that, who are we trying to impress, how are we going to do that, how are we going to get their attention, and hopefully that's going to help us to convert those visitors into customers. Big data predictive marketing, of course. How does the big data enable predictive marketing? Is because it tells us a lot more, and nowadays data are a lot more relevant than they used to be in the past, and that's also because the data now that is saved makes a lot more sense than it used to in the past. Data are more standardized nowadays, whether they're in purchase behavior or in clicks or in visits or traffic and everything else. The data is structured and organized in a much better way than it used to be in the past, so that's why they are quite valid and they're quite important. Of course, these are some of the questions for you to think about, and I leave those with you. But again, it's just that as you read and as you look into the online retail industry, it's quite important to go back to these questions and think about things that you read. Service industries, that we're going to definitely see transformations in the near future, including e-commerce that are part of most of these industries as well, include finance, insurance, real estate, travel. Of course, when it comes to travel nowadays, we rarely go to the travel agents, and there's really no point, because you can do all of that online and you can get a much better deal and you can get a much better customized package for your own holiday. So really, when it comes to travel, we can actually say that it has transformed the industry altogether. But of course, when it comes to the e-commerce, it's slightly different because you've got tangible products, you've got to touch them, you've got to feel them, and ultimately, it doesn't matter how much you want to shop online, at some point you want to go and feel what you're going to buy. But again, that is changing quite a lot nowadays, because you can purchase something online, go in the store, have a look, and if you don't like it, you can just return it straight away. So even though you purchase, you'll get a refund straight away. You don't have to take it at home. Health services, educational services, well, I mean, health is a huge industry, and it's one of those industries that is going to have lots and lots of opportunities for all of those that have got ideas of how they can transform that whole segment of life. Very, very important one. But when you start to look at where the health industry is, for instance in the UK, you start to see that there's so many missing elements to the point that you wonder what's happened, right? You still don't have a synchronized online system where you can see your medical records and everything, your appointments, your sort of overall performance, health performance you had in the last years. and of course, that whole digital thing is really missing. There are some opportunities here and there where you can book some appointments and so on, but they're not really there. They work there in different places, but in general there's not a synchronized digital database that works across the country where you've got everything digital and you've got the opportunity to hopefully engage with your GP and your doctor as well, instead of trying to go and find an appointment and you've got to wait 2 weeks and then you go and see another doctor, not the one you were looking for, and it's all very, very, very difficult, and it's all quite messy. Almost you see a tipping point, especially when it comes to NHS. Educational services are being transformed anyway because of the new private service firms that are getting into the marketplace. And again, that is somehow pushing universities to do other things as well, like offer online courses as well, and distance learning instead of just offering traditional courses. Two categories that are very much also being transformed in the industry are transaction brokers, hands-on services and providers as well. But in addition to that, personalization and customization are playing a huge role, simply because nowadays every single one of customers that buy online, they want to have their own specific tailored services and products. Online financial services as well are being transformed, again, including the banking services, and you might actually want to argue that are we going to have a bank without a physical bank? Do we actually need a bank altogether? Right? Can we just do without it? And again, that's something that is very much being looked after by several investors around the world. And again, Bitcoin is there, right? And when you start reading about it, you get lots of ideas as what's happening. Because in reality, as much as travel industry has been transformed, and nowadays, even though you've got those travel agents paying huge expenses cost to running those offices across the country, there's really in most cases there's no need to have those shops whatsoever, because it's not really needed. But again, how about having the same situation with the banking? If the banking was so good and it was so well integrated and it took seconds to get the jobs done online, whether it's an application for a loan or like a credit or like transfer or like payment or anything else, why would you need to go to the bank? Right? Remember when e-banking was launched? I mean, we had to go to the bank almost every other day, but nowadays we don't really need to do that anymore. How about if we took that all away from it? You know, you could do online support, live chat, right? You can do social media support. In addition to that, you can run the whole management of your own wealth online without having to do anything else. And what happened if we have such a good synchronized services that it takes literally seconds to get a task done, whether it's a payment or mortgage application or anything like that, right? And in general, we know that, unfortunately, lots of the banking, especially some of the branches, are actually not that very good anyway. Because as soon as you go there, they will remind you that this job is not done by a branch, but you've got to make a phone call, talk to headquarters, and maybe they'll get it done, or they're very limited to how much they can do it. Imagine if you did all of this online, how much of services you can offer. It's going to be limitless as to how much you can offer to customers. Multi-channel, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Online consumers definitely prefer multi-channel firms because of their physical presence. Again, they want to be able to, at some point, to go into their store and get an idea as to who they're trying to buy something from, and get also an idea as to what does it feel to sort of like hold the product and see how it works. Pure online firms cannot provide all the services that require face-to-face interaction. So again, at some point, depending on the industry that you're in, you will need to somehow interact with customers face-to-face. But in general, there's no one to say that the online industry and the e-commerce cannot introduce other services that enable better support to customers. Online insurance firms, again, that's also another huge business online nowadays, and most it operates online. Really don't. There isn't a store you can go like you, and you wouldn't even actually go anywhere to insure your car or anything like that. It's all pretty much done online. Most insurance companies nowadays, again, are going to be transformed as well. And online industry is geared more towards product information, search, price discovery, online quotes, influencing, and the online purchasing decision. Online retail services, of course, again, we start to see the idea of having this disintermediation, which is the idea of cutting the middleman, and that is what's going to help the industry being transformed, because at the moment you have got too many people doing too many things, and it's quite hard to synchronize services. But as soon as you start to have one key hub, one key thing that synchronizes all the information and sort of communication with each other, it becomes quite easy possible to make it happen. Online travel services, we talked about this. Now, of course, there's lots of reviews, but the idea of looking to more of those reviews, relying to them before buying something, is becoming more and more like a trend. And that's why companies are looking at identifying false reviews of people who just want to leave bad comments, but not necessarily have got any idea about the product and services. And actually, again, that's really important, because a big question comes along as to, can a false review have an impact on sales of a product? Definitely will. But how about if that false review was not ever tracked, and therefore that having a huge impact on the business? And that's why, like, huge companies like Amazon and TripAdvisor and all these other guys are actually saying, as soon as you read the review, you'll say whether the review was a verified one or not. And nowadays, more and more, they will not add a review unless it's been verified that that was the guy who's actually purchased the product or service. Online travel services, again, you'll start to see the stats in there. I'm not going to get into details. The online travel market, hugely, with airline ticket, hotel reservations, car rentals, travel packages, super exciting. And again, but most importantly, those comparison websites do pretty well business as well, because they look into hundreds of online services from one single place, including the price, including the time, including the place, location, and the reviews of the package that you're about to select. Really, if you were to do that face-to-face with an agent, it'll take you days, right? And you still won't be able to get anywhere to where you want to get to in terms of making a decision. Online travel industry dynamics, again, for the pricing dynamics, and of course packages being offered across different industries and across different websites online, and especially driven by mobile and social as well. Sharing economy, without a doubt, is having an impact on our daily lives, simply because it's giving us a chance to start to monetize some of the things that we don't use on a daily basis. And of course, having a huge impact on the industry, but having an impact on on the hotel industry as well. Because again, companies like Airbnb and Uber are having a huge impact across different industries. But of course, these services are not just being out there to being used by those who want to make money because they've got an additional room to rent, or they've got a car they can drive from 5 to 7 in the evening. But actually, the low price point for the customer is quite attractive as well. Because nowadays you can get an Uber service and pay very little. In fact, it'll give you the live sort of estimate as how much that ride is going to cost. Of course, ultimately that cost of that ride can actually change depending on where you want to get to. But again, it's starting to change. Airbnb, if you've never used it, try it once. You just get an idea. It actually works pretty well. But again, it might depend on where you want to get into. But some large in very, very busy destinations, if you went to the hotel, you'll end up paying at least 50% or up to 30-40% more than you would pay into Airbnb, and still will be fine. Uber reviews apps, I'm not going to get into details on that one, but of course the sharing economy for the very first time is having a very big attention from all other industries. Companies are looking into that, and of course these are some of the questions for you to think about. And ultimately, for the next week's activity, we would like to look at a case study on Etsy, a marketplace and a community-driven website, which is quite successful when it comes to more like tailored and fashion-oriented products and services online. Yeah. And that's all for today. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
Just for the final assignment for the video, is that one company, or because we're in the first assignment we do 2 companies, is that also the case for the video? That we're comparing the 2 customer journeys, or is that just take one?
You can take just one company.
Okay, and then refer to another company, but
Yeah.
keep
You
to
can
one.
focus in one and then refer to the other.
Okay, but it's not comparing to like a comparative funnel really, so.
No, I think what you need, what you'll have is a situation where you'll have so many stats and data from your own individual reports, so then you can bring some of that data in your own group work, and then of course it should be a lot easier for you to combine all that
But
work
we
together
should
with the
choose
shared.
one company from the individual, right?
Yeah, you can use one company from it. If that's not what you prefer, you can pick up a new company. If I were you, I wouldn't. Because there's already so much research you've done for those companies, you can actually just bring that in, add an additional bit, and then you'll have quite a substantial work to implement, well, present it to your
And is the video, should it be like a voice over PowerPoint, or do we need to be present in there?
With a video, you can be as creative as you like.
Okay.
Now, you can be a mix of things, voiceover, or like a video, or like presentation of your work in the stores, okay, a presentation that works on the go. Just think creatively as to what's best for you, what's the best way for you to present the data and the research that you've gained so far. But if I were you, I wouldn't do just a normal standard presentation, because that's not what we're trying to do. The whole idea is to try and present the research in the most creative way you can.
Okay. And the timing, are you lenient with 10% on the timing, or?
Once it's over 5 minutes,
So are you, because I know you're kind of in the past, if it's over you wouldn't check it, so how is that?
We tend to remind students not to go over it too much, because otherwise we'll stop viewing watching the video. But I don't think we're going to be that strict in terms of, if we see that you've gone 5-6 minutes above, then probably we won't do it. But for 1 or 2 minutes, we'll probably be fine. But if you double it in, then probably we'll.
Okay.
If you double the duration of what we asked you to. But for 1 or 2 minutes, we're not stopping the video and then just ignoring it.
And I feel like as well, I read somewhere that it said that you had to have your face in it once, just so they could put your face to a voice. Do you need that, or?
I mean, we would like when possible, but if that breaks the concept of what you're trying to create, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Yes.
I also have a question about coursework too. So it says that we will have to be tweeting our progress, and then it gives a hashtag of the course code. So is there a time that we're supposed to be starting that, like as soon as possible?
As soon as you start working groups, we'd like to see.
We have to tweet every like a log. Is that then our log?
Yeah, a log, like a video log, where you just give us a progress report very quickly. You can even 1 to 2 minutes saying, we met today, we've done this is what we're doing next.
Any amount, specific amount we need?
Like duration of...
No, sorry, and like how many meetings to say?
Oh, yes. I mean...
There's no limit or...
There is no limit. We'd just like to hear from you. We'd like to see how you progressing with work. as as often as you meet, record a video, put it up online, use your smartphones, and just give us some ideas as to where you are with the work.
And that's a separate video each time, or should we combine those videos?
No, just each time, just record a video each time that you meet up. Just tell us what you've done so far, how you progressing with the work, and what you plan to do next. 3 things. What you've done, what have you done so far, what you've done today, what you plan to do next.
Okay.
And it can be as long as 1 to 2 minutes, and that's fine.
All right, let's get out of here. Let's go start working on this. Yeah.